What is up, fellow bench warmers? Welcome to your daily fantasy quickie. What's up, guys? Welcome to another quickie. It's a 4-game slate. My name is JJT with Komish, Eric. 4 games. Let's start off with some feel-good players today. Steph Curry, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Two guys, playing way above everyone else.
Yeah, but I guess Steph is not surprising. I mean, he has been in the top before. Although last few seasons we've been giving Steph the business because of what he did to us. Do you have any Steph this year?
No.
I have one. Remember that draft where I was playing and then it was auto draft.
Yeah.
So actually, it's funny because that team is doing very well.
Who are you playing, sir? Do you have SGA there?
I have Paul George. I have Steph. I don't have SGA. I forgot who the others are, but Miles, I think. I even have Miles there. But Steph Curry's been carrying my team there. For the season, I mean, he's been really good. Number one, as I said, number one this season. It's because of the shooting for one. 90+% from the field, 47% from the field, 90+% from free throw, and then almost 5 3-pointers. Today he had a triple-double.
Yeah, 13 rebounds, 13 assists.
Yep. So, I don't know. What do you think about this?
I don't know. It's still early, third week. Steph was okay last year until sometime when before he broke the record, right? He was okay, and then he went a little lower. He regressed a bit after breaking the record. So it's a bit early, but I think this is sustainable for them. I think it's sustainable, especially Klay is having some injury load management issues.
Yes.
I don't think they have the same firepower as they had last season, right? They don't have offensive role players as, I guess, not as good as last season's role players offensively, right? So I think this is sustainable.
You were looking for who will overtake or dethrone Jokic at number one.
So
people have been talking about Luka, Giannis, KD, but Steph actually has a good game to overtake Jokic for number one. Now, one thing different this year from last year, as you said, there's some firepower issues with Golden State. They're not as cruising as they're 3-5. They're 3-5, and Jordan Poole struggling, Klay Thompson struggling. They're part of our worry players we'll talk about later. So all of those problems falls on the shoulders of Steph. Steph has to do more, and he has done more. He has been scoring more and more aggressive. The usage is higher, and he has been passing the ball more. That's a big change. The assist, that's a big change. So that has really helped his value. Sustainable. I think top 5 is easy. Top 3 is doable. Number 1 is based on injury and rest concerns. I think
you mentioned KD, another player who's been playing well despite in spite of all the things that's happening there with the Nets. He has been solid, and the biggest difference, I guess, between the two is Steph shoots more threes, less on the stocks. KD has been really good on the defensive categories, the steals and the blocks, particularly the blocks. So I think those two players, even with all those things happening in Brooklyn, I think KD is a good consideration for our feel-good player. He's been actually really solid this year.
Steph is 1, SGA is number 2, KD is number 3. This season. So they're there. I agree with you. Again, this is also injury dependent if he stays healthy. But if he stays healthy, it's between him and Steph. I would agree right now at this point that Jokic will probably not end number 1. Given how he's playing this year and how everything is in
It's still early.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem to have the same same trajectory for Jokic, and the system also with so many more players coming back, Porter, Jamal, that has affected him. Not affected him to be a bust, but I mean, number one might be hard for him, and that's different from KD and Steph. Surprisingly, supposedly they have a strong teams, but KD's team, if you look at the players that played with him today, Yuta Watanabe, and I mean, they don't.
I was writing the quickies, and Yuta Watanabe was one of the watch players in my list.
Yeah,
just because he's getting minutes, he's getting some burns there. 27 minutes, I think, today. And then the last game, he also had good amount of minutes. So he can be, the lack of depth might, push him to a player that's worth considering as a streamer, maybe.
And they're struggling also. 3-5. The Warriors are 3-5. I think the Nets are also 3-5, if I'm not mistaken. Somewhere there, 3-5 or 3-6. And now they have a new coach. So I think if we talk about a little bit about the effect of the firing of Steve Nash, I think it's positive for KD because he's never been
a fan
of Steve, and Ime Udoka is a better coach, we can put it at that. But of course, there's lots of other issues there with the Kyrie thing and everything. But
mostly off-court issues.
Yeah, the Udoka thing is a good thing for KD. If there's anything to go higher, because KD's been producing the stocks, the threes. It's been so good, solid this year.
Yeah. You mentioned about SGA. I think SGA is another player. We've been talking about him a lot in the past few days, just because of the great production that he has had. This today, Giddy played, and he still managed to score 34 points. I think had 6 assists or 5 assists and the 6 rebounds, I think. And then the stocks were still there, the efficiency were still there, and very very solid for SGA. We've talked about this, if it's sustainable or not. We don't know, but like you said, last year he played 70 games, and that's pretty much a lot more than how many games other first rounders played.
I think I wrote in the quick notes today that if we talk about trading, I would probably trade Jimmy Butler first, then SGA. Butler also
that's funny, because there was an offer to me, I think last week, about SGA for Jimmy Butler, and I never really considered that because I had Jimmy Butler then, just because of the stigma about SGA.
Yeah, but the peak of SGA right now is first round. This is how good he is. I mean, if you're talking about SGA, if he stays healthy, he's gonna be a top 40 guy. Yeah, okay, that's okay. But if he's healthy, he's gonna be a top 10 guy. That changes the narrative altogether. If you get him right now, this is his peak, I know, but he can sustain this. There's nobody that will come in OKC that will just take the mantle away from him. He can sustain this. Jimmy Butler's peak is now right now, and it's just what, 30 something, 20 something at the very best. And then he's gonna get rested. He's gonna get injured. That's different from SGA. The tanking of SGA may be later on. So I'd rather go SGA, and I'd rather trade Butler first for sure than SGA. There is a chance SGA plays it out. There's a chance.
All right. Now, do you think, let's talk risk for risk, AD, for example, Anthony Davis, or Shai?
I'd probably go SGA at this point also. I might be talking myself into the SGA thing, but he's been really good. It's been really good. This just changes everything for me.
I mean, if you watch the games,
everything for me. Yeah.
If you watch the games, very effortless, the way he moves, the way he scores. It's not forced, nothing forced. I mean, for a scorer, he's not the guy who would force a lot of things, and he contributes in a lot of things too. The assists, the rebounding, and the stocks are there.
Let's put it this way. We don't know what will happen in the future. We can just play the odds. Of course, the odds of AD, Butler, and SGA, let's say, somehow in the future, missing games or being shut down or whatever, the odds are there. But what we know right now is who's the better player among them, fantasy-wise, the three of them. I think SGA and AD are very close now. AD might still have a little slight advantage, but SGA, because he's been good with prolonged time, but SGA is right there. So the odds of AD getting hurt and SGA getting rested, which is higher? AD's already having problems with his back.
Yeah.
And according to a GM, that he's playing through pain. He's really playing through pain, and they
It's
have to
obvious.
manage.
We said that early on, right? He dunked. It was painful. He did some normal basketball things. It looks like he grimaced in pain. So it looks like it's really going to be a problem. And if that's gonna happen, I don't see AD playing through it every single game. He'll be
Yes.
rested. He'll be
Yes.
rehabilitated, whether it's going to be now or in the middle of the season or later on. I don't think he'll reach the latter part of the season if he plays through the first part of the season. So that's the challenge with AD. But it's also so hard to sell him for a very low value just because the numbers have been good so far.
Yeah, you don't settle. Don't settle. SGA, Jimmy, AD, don't settle. All these players are risky, but stay the course. So they'll still play. I mean, AD doesn't have a season-ending injury. The back is a concern, but he'll still play. He'll still get his numbers when he plays.
Yeah. So SGA, Steph Curry are feel good players, and of course the last feel good players is Ball, top of the town.
Ball and Cam Johnson. Yeah.
And
Both
Cam
of them.
Johnson. But Cam Johnson was struggling early on, I think after on the first week, but slowly picked it up. I think Phoenix overall has slowly picked it up. And they're 6-1 now. So I think after that first loss, I think they've recovered. They've settled down. They've dusted every dirt they had and just played through. So I think now pretty much everyone's playing well. Chris Paul's been playing well. Devin Booker's been playing well. Cam Johnson's been playing well, and Ayton was playing well before he went down. So solid group.
I hope you didn't drop Cam, because some people did drop Cam Johnson when he was struggling. As we said, the chance, the opportunity, it's there. He's gonna be the starter. He's gonna be the starter for them, so the minutes will be there. But he's very dependent on his shot falling. The past 3 games, he's made 14 3-pointers, and when that 3-pointer in those fall, he's more engaged defensively. He's more energetic. When it doesn't, the rest of his game struggles. So that's how he is. You just have to ride, the peaks, the lows. You just have to ride it out. Average wise, still gonna be, worth rostering for sure. Way worth rostering.
Yeah.
So and for Ball,
we don't need to tell you he's worth rostering for sure. He is worth rostering. He played another 29 minutes today. And solid numbers, double other than the 6 turnovers. 3 blocks. I think he had today. 3 or 4?
3 blocks, and double 3 blocks. He did have 6 turnovers, but that's nitpicking at this point. Jalen Suggs returned, so when we said Jalen Suggs comes back, Ball might go back to 21, 22 minutes, but it didn't happen. Terrence Ross got hurt after 3 minutes, so now they could just start Suggs and then do the same thing: Suggs, Wagner, Banchero, Ball, and Wendell Carter. So it looks like it's falling into place for Ball. The 27, 28 minutes. His body hasn't shown that it can withstand that much minutes for a long period of games. Just have to point that out, that Ball hasn't played a lot of minutes and a lot of games. He got injured right when he entered the NBA. He was still injured and he was back and forth with injury. So just have to monitor that. I'm not saying he's going to get injured, but again, playing the odds. There's a chance that he plays this number of minutes continuously. At some point, the body will break down. At some point, something will give.
Yeah. So and we said that during a past quickie we're in. It doesn't make sense, right? The way he's built versus the way he moves, it just doesn't make sense. And at one point, you feel like it's going to break down. But we're not saying he will break down, because we don't know really.
Yes.
But it's just that based from people we see with that type of length and that type of versatility, the combination of those two, it's usually not really the best combination out there. So we'd rather have him. It's nice to see him play 29 minutes a game, maybe 30. But to be honest, if you want longevity, I don't mind him going back to like the 25 minutes per game, right? And
Yeah.
in 25 minutes, he can still do a double double with maybe two blocks per game. That's still solid for someone you
And
just
for
picked up the
and for our
waiver.
listeners, 24 to 29 or 24 to 25 to 29, the 4 to 5 minutes matter a lot for these players.
Yeah,
There's a big difference. For us, it's 4 minutes, 5 minutes. But remember, these five guys are playing every other day sometimes, and then there's
yeah,
practices and everything. That matters a lot. So that's something to monitor. We like it, of course. We like the number of minutes as long as he can take it. It's not. We don't like it that after like 30 games, then he breaks down and then it's out. So that will give us only 30 games of ball experience, and we want more. We want more
yeah.
from him.
We definitely want more. And speaking of we want more, we talk about some worry players where we want more production from these. But let's start off with Zach Lavine. Not playing back to back. This is like a Kawhi light here. Um,
Again, another GM did say that there's pain in the knee and it's a pain tolerance thing. If you can, but I heard this before. I heard this last year with him.
yeah,
The knee, there will be pain. If he can tolerate it, he will play. But the fact that they're managing it now means that they don't want it to get worse. So I think he can play. He can play back to back right now, but they don't want to do it because if they do it and force it too much, by the time we go again, we're looking long term. By the time we go to the Januaries and the Februaries, he might have to sit longer, not just back to backs. He might have to sit weeks and then come back and play. So is this a whole season thing? I think so. I think this is a thing that they will manage the whole season because, of course, they're a contender, they're a playoff team. They will want to have him in the playoffs.
is it time to
So,
sell Zach Lavine?
yes, if I can sell Zach Lavine, I will sell Zach Lavine. But again, with all these players, I will not settle, let's say, Zach Lavine for Kyle Kuzma. I will not settle for that. I will not settle for just cheap players, no, because these players are not out for the season.
Who
They're
though?
not out.
Zach Lavine for
Bradley Beal. I
yeah,
mean, you
Bradley
can
Beal,
go with Bradley Beal. You can go with I don't know. There are lots of players there. I don't know.
Kristaps. No, too high.
I don't know if you can do that. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can
Um,
swing the deal there. Brunson is a little tier down, but if you're really desperate, you can do that. Like if you have to
no,
count the
you can
number
do
of
the
back.
Bronson deal if you're in a need for need basis, right? If you need more assists, less scoring, then maybe you could go Bronson.
Yeah, you can, but it's like this. You have to check also how many more back to backs the Bulls have no for the season because let's say for
Yeah,
November they don't have any more back to backs. For December they only have two. So just limited number of there's just limited number of games really for them to that he will miss.
yeah.
In case it doesn't worsen, the knee doesn't worsen. There's around I think around seven more back to backs. So you have to
No, but
consider those.
here's my take on this. With Zach Lavine, I'd rather sell him now than or at least see what I can get for him right now at this time while he is still playing because I know there's just probably seven back to backs, but this is an 82 game season, and throughout the season he'll probably miss a lot more games than just seven more back to backs. Right? He'll probably miss a lot more, and if it's a pain tolerance thing, there will become a time wherein he can't tolerate the pain anymore, or they won't try to force him to play, get him to rest maybe 2 3 weeks, especially if they're gonna get through that play in or playoffs. They'll probably rest him a lot more than just 7 games. That's my
Yeah,
take, and that's the reason
yeah, I
why I
agree.
just feel like you know just try to see what the market for
But
this guy
some
is.
listeners, some managers, sometimes when they get like I have to trade the feed, they'll just really try to trade that
No, you
down.
don't.
I think you have to be patient. You have to be patient. Like tomorrow he's not gonna play. There's no way you're gonna trade him this next few days for good value. So, like I said, tomorrow, November, they don't have any more back to backs after tomorrow. So, best case scenario, he plays every game now because there's no back to back. And there's from what I see, they have limited games and less games this November. Then as he plays and plays and plays, then you get the value go higher. Then you can sell him for the right price.
Yeah.
For the right price. So it's okay to sell him if there is a manager that will just give you a good offer right now, then take it. But don't force yourself to sell just because he's a sell player. But he is a sell player. He's definitely the sell list.
Just to be clear, we're not saying you should trade him for whoever, right? Right now.
Yes.
Well, what I'm
yes.
just saying is that you should test the market and see what you can get for him at this point, or maybe next week, right? Or in a couple of weeks. Because trading doesn't really mean you offer them now. You get the right offer immediately. You get the right approval immediately, right?
Yeah.
You should
I have
still
someone in
see.
mind.
Yeah.
Terry Rozier.
Mm-hmm.
He's still doubtful, still not coming back. And then you can tell the manager LaMelo is also coming back, so Rozier won't be as good as we as in the beginning. I think that's something that might work.
Yeah.
That might work.
Yeah, I mean, Bane's also out. I mean, maybe Zach plus another guy for, maybe someone who's a sell high type of player. You can pick those players. I mean, see what the market is. How close are you gonna get to the player you want, right? For Zach Lavine. And then if you find something you like, then maybe you can pull the trigger, right? While he's playing, because in 2 weeks, even if you tell you trade him in 2 weeks, but in 2 weeks we don't know what happens, right? Maybe that's the start of where they rest him or what. So yeah, Zach Lavine, a big worry. But the difference between him and Kawhi is that Zach Lavine is more tradable than Kawhi. Kawhi is in the, he's I just compared them because they have this knee issues that we're not really clear about. We're not sure. And the teams are load managing them, but we don't really know what the extent of the injury is. So that means we put a red flag on these players.
If you want to buy on these players, on the other hand, like buy low, it's okay with me as long as it's really a player
low.
like. I mean like the Lowry area, the Kuzma area, these players around those area. I think I'd take the risk if it's Kawhi, even if it's Paul, not Paul George. If it's Lavine or Kawhi at those point, it's worth a shot already.
Yeah.
I mean, this is early in the season. Kawhi for sure. We don't know, as you said, but can also be like he improves as the season goes along. It's just rust in the knee and the long layoff. So yeah, it's worth a shot. It's worth a shot.
Yeah. Other Gobert is another worry player. 7 points today. All free throws.
Yes.
The good, I guess the silver lining is 7 out. He was 7 out of 7 from the free throw line. But here's the thing. It's like him and Karl Anthony Towns, right? Early in the season, this was Gobert. Karl Anthony Towns was here. Now Karl Anthony is slowly moving up. Gobert's rebounding rate has slowed down. The scoring has slowed down. Maybe the blocks are a little more consistent, but yeah, overall, still a worry.
Actually, the blocks are not that high as
not as
before.
good.
It's 1.7. Not as good, and that is a worry because like today he had 6% usage rate. And for people, what's usage? What is usage? What is usage? Of course, that is how much he affects the offense, passing, shooting, everything else. 6%. And Bismack Biyombo had 9% today. That's for context. Bismack Biyombo, when you watched the game a while ago, you almost didn't see him touch the ball except for rebounds and everything. He had 9%. So that is really a worry. Biyombo is a worry. Yeah.
I mean Gobert. You mean Gobert? Yeah, but overall, I think Minnesota, that first 5 of Minnesota has struggled a bit. They've been losing just because of that starting 5. I think the plus minus of that starting 5 hasn't been good, and they haven't really found the right rhythm yet. I think and even they have said it. The coach has said it. Anthony Edwards has said it. That looks like they haven't really figured it out.
Not yet.
Probably eventually figure it out, but of course, we're worried about the production here for Gobert.
And Anthony Edwards is another worry player, but he's a worry player that you should try to buy. No, Anthony Edwards. You should try to buy Anthony Edwards. The free throws are poor. The steals are down, but today he had 3 steals. The field goal has not been good, but he will improve. I'm fairly certain of that. This is an adjustment period for them, as you said. So he's the buy low, in my opinion. I think he's someone you can aggressively target.
Yeah. Last on our list, Klay Thompson and Jordan Poole. Klay Thompson is another player who, not as good as he was. He might, good thing is he won't listen to this, but he's really not as good as he was before.
It's not
the
really
injury.
possible to come back from ACL and Achilles back to back and then be like yourself before. He's still a good shooter. He had 4 threes or 5 threes today, 19 points, breaking out with some steals and blocks. So he's still good. But to expect him to do that every night, and he's not going to play back-to-backs either. The minute restrictions is gone, but he won't go to 40 minutes. I'm pretty sure they'll get 32, 31. So all of those things, that makes his ceiling lower. The problem with that is he's still playing, and then he's still hurting Jordan Poole. That is the problem. It's like having not, it's better like you have all the Poole and no Klay, or all the Klay and no Poole. But now it's like you have both, but not the maximum version of both. Yeah. So,
in fairness, I think Klay has played better than what I anticipated. I think.
Not for other managers.
Not good, but I stayed away from Klay just because I feel like he's not the old Klay, and he's being drafted a little way high. Sometimes in the 70s, 60s, right? There were some drafts where he was picked right there. But I think overall, from my expectation of him, he has played okay. Other than, of course, the back-to-backs, which is expected. But again, for other managers, their expectations might be higher. Poole, I think, on the other hand, the problem with Poole, I think, is that the expectations last year was really low of him, that he excelled. He, overachieved. Now, the expectations were too high, that maybe he might just be doing the same as what he did last year. But since the expectations were a little too high, people are more disappointed.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, but his free throws are lower, his 3-pointers are lower, everything is lower from last year to this year. So it's not the same as last year, but he was overdrafted. That is my belief. He was overdrafted. I guess that ties into your analysis, because if he was drafted around 90, 95, I think people will be okay. But he was going way, way higher than that, 60s or 70s. So,
same with Klay. I think he was overdrafted a bit in a lot of leagues.
Yes.
And that's where the disappointment comes in. And with both of them there, it's really going to be hard to get the best value from both, like you said. And then Steph is playing really well. But they might be able to figure it out at some point. There will be games wherein Klay would probably drop you a 40, right? Or maybe a 50, right? But not in the consistent 20-point games. And Klay's shooting hasn't been as good as well. I mean, the field goal percentages hasn't been as good as well. So I think, let's see if they figure it out. Now, the good thing about this is that if they keep on losing, that means better for Steph owners, because more games, no rest for Steph Curry, and he's probably the only guy there who's in Golden State where you have confidence with in terms of your fantasy teams, right? The rest of the guys, there's really no reliable source of fantasy production there in Golden State. Quickly, Kyrie didn't play well today. I'm really worried about the off-court thing. Like you said, the last episode, now they're not having him, they're stopping him or not getting him to do the media. They're not making him available for media. And that might, Kyrie, he hates these kinds of things. He hates being limited by outside forces, as you call it. And he might not like these things. The worst case scenario, like you said, is if he quits altogether. I'm not sure if that's
I
how
think
close that
I
is
think
to
he might take a
reality.
break. There's a chance he might take a break, but he won't quit. This is a contract year, as I said. He's gonna try to play it out, and the Udoka thing will help him. I think it will help him.
Hopefully, because the Udoka thing has
Hopefully,
also gotten lots of
yeah.
criticism from lots of analysts and even players, former players or commentators. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. There's nothing final. I mean, the Nets have backtracked on their Udoka report, say that they haven't really hired anyone, but I guess he is on the top of their list. So yeah, we'll see how this pans out. It's going to be interesting because we've got three elite fantasy players, potentially elite fantasy players in that lineup, Brooklyn lineup. And if it's going to be, if it's going to be to waste, then it's going to be a bad omen for those who own them. I mean, three, I'm talking about KD, Kyrie, and put Ben Simmons there because, he still has the potential to be an elite fantasy producer, especially if you're a punt free throw team, right? So hopefully the Udoka or maybe whoever coach comes in for the Nets will be able to turn it around for them and for the individual players as well. All right, guys, that's it for our fantasy quickie. Guys, we have a website now. It's fantasybenchwarmers.com. We'll post all of Commission's take. We'll also put out some more new articles there. Hopefully soon in the next few months, I guess. We'll just have to plan it out. But we've got some plans on what more can be put out there. But the episodes, the audio-only episodes are there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want the video episodes. Follow us as well on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. And with that, we'll see you guys again tomorrow. Bye.